Hi Aquarius, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your May 2024 tarot reading. Thanks to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, also what we have in front of us is Celtic Cross spread as always, and I also pulled the 4 agreements and Wisdom of the Oracle card for you guys. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright, we have Mercury. And at the time I'm recording this, we still have Mercury retrograde in your third house of communication, and it's still going to be in that sign for most of May as well. I think maybe around a little bit past the midway point of May, it's going to move into Taurus, which would be your fourth house. But yeah, definitely some Mercury focus for sure. All right, we have Cancer, and Cancer energy for you guys is your sixth house of health, work, daily routines. Nothing really going on there astrologically speaking right now, but I do see some Cancer energy in your main spread. And we have 8. So 8th house energy for you guys is Virgo. And astrologically speaking, nothing really going on there either at this time, but in general, 8th house points to death, rebirth, and intimacy. So we'll keep those in mind as we go through the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the 2 of Swords, and challenging that, we have the Page of Pentacles. So for some of you, maybe you're thinking about making a decision, and for some of you, it could be related to career, given that we do see the Pentacles, and maybe for some of you, it comes down to the fact that maybe you have an emotional attachment to what you do for a living, for example, but you might feel like financially it keeps your goals just out of reach, right? So you could just be weighing the pros and cons, like, okay, maybe this brings me some level of emotional fulfillment when I'm doing, but it doesn't work out to stick with this path on a practical level. All right, in the foundation position, we have the Queen of Cups. So yeah, here's the Cancerian energy I was talking about when we were looking at the dice as well. But given that this is your 6th house of work, daily routines, again, like I said, I feel like there is a certain level of attachment that you have with what you do. And that could be what's keeping you there, right? But again, like I said, you might feel like it's lacking in other areas. All right, in the past, we have the Fool. So this might even been a path that you might have started out originally on a whim, right? So maybe you didn't think too far ahead as far as what would the practicalities be around it, right? So maybe it was just something that you felt called to do at the time, and maybe you didn't think around, oh, well, maybe there's not a lot of room for growth on a financial level with this type of path or something along those lines, right? So could just be saying that in the past you just might have been more open to just taking those leaps and taking a chance on something. Right. In the present position, we have the Page of Swords. So yeah, it looks like you might just want to have a conversation around the situation, right? Because again, like I said, especially if you do have an emotional attachment to what you do, and it does bring you some level of fulfillment and enjoyment there, you might want to just see if you could discuss a way to see if there's a way to get maybe more compensation for what you do, right? Or even if it's not that, maybe if they're just overworking you, right? To where you're like, okay, I do have this emotional attachment to what I do, but at the same time, it'd be nice to have less of a workload so I could have more of a work-life balance, right? Things along those lines there. So looks like some of you might want to spark a conversation around that, but there is a little bit of nervousness around doing so. All right, in the near future position, we have Judgment. So yeah, for some of you, this is probably something that you've thought about in the past. Maybe it's something, a theme that comes up repeatedly, right? But I feel like this is saying now spiritually might be feeling a little bit more guided to finally come forward and really have those types of discussions, right? Or at the very least, look at the situation in a more practical way to see like, okay, how can I make this work, right? If I were to continue down this path, is there another thing I could do to bring on more income on the side or things along those lines, right? So that could be part of what you're faced with right now. And given that we haven't had that Scorpio full moon yet at the time of recording this, this could even point to that timeline, because for me, this is very much a Scorpio energy. right? And speaking of full moon and the position of your influence in the situation, we have the moon. So when I do see this card come up, I do say in general to look at the main lunar cycles that'll be taking place during the month. So like I said, we haven't had that full moon in Scorpio just yet. And then we're going to have a new moon in Taurus. That's your fourth house of home, roots, mother. And then we're going to have a full moon toward the end of May in Sagittarius. So things to look out for there. That's your 11th house too. So yeah, it could just be one of those things where those lunar cycles might really bring some insight around your situations. But if not that, it could just be saying that again, maybe you feel a little bit unclear around the situation, right? Like you might really feel a bit torn. Like you're like, okay, I really do have this emotional connection to what I'm doing, right? And for some of you, maybe it's just because you have a feeling of loyalty to this thing because maybe you've just been doing it for so long, right? But you might come to the realization, well, maybe I've just outgrown it, right? And if so, what's next? All right, in the environment position, we have the Three of Pentacles. So the good thing is here, I do feel like for this to be in the environment, there is an indicator that there will be some discussions that can help you with growth, right? So again, like I said, maybe if this is a job you took when you were young, and so you might feel that certain level of loyalty to it, like, oh, they were the first one that gave me an opportunity, but maybe feel like you're outgrowing it, they might find a way to work with you around that, right? Like, okay, well, we could have you go through this program to get this type of certification, right, to help you level up in that way. Or this could just even be saying that through discussing this thing, maybe they'll have some alternative paths that you could explore that would actually be fulfilling for you. Right. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Ten of Swords. So yeah, some of you, I would say this is probably now on the surface, you would think this would be more fear to see this energy. For some of you could just be more of a hope as far as you're hoping to put all this thought around the situation behind you, right? Because it's like, even if you do have an emotional attachment to it, you're just constantly worried about these day-to-day things like, okay, do I have enough money to pay the bills while I'm doing this? And that could obviously become very stressful. And then that could also strip away some of the enjoyment that you had in the thing in the first place, right? And given that this is a Gemini card, it could just be saying that maybe as we move toward Gemini season, you could actually start to feel that energy get alleviated, since that's a more compatible sign to you. All right, and in the outcome position, we have the Four of Wands. So this is really a good sign to see because this is Aries energy for one. And like I mentioned, that is your third house communication, and we still have that Mercury retrograde in there right now. But to me, this says that whatever conversations do happen, looks like there's the potential for a win-win, right? Because if we look at the people there, soon I can get it to focus. Yeah, there we go. Looks like a very celebratory atmosphere, right? So it's like, to me, this makes me think of a win-win situation, right? So, of course, if it were a romantic connection, that'd be one thing, right? That'd be great. It means that there's some expansion there, but this is more around some kind of a business situation. Again, I feel like it's going to work its way out to where both sides feel like they're getting a good deal in the situation. So definitely looks like a positive outcome for sure. All right, and bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Pentacles. So yeah, like I said, whatever this is, like I said, for some of you, it might not be strictly a financial thing, but like I said, you might feel like, well, something has to give here. If I feel like I need more financial compensation for what I do, or I need my workload to be lessened so I'm not as worn out, right? Because I get it, right? You could genuinely enjoy something, but if you have, if it's just taking too much of your energy, there's no way around it, right? You're just not going to be able to feel that same level of enjoyment anymore. So I feel like this is saying that there will be compensation in some way coming forward for you guys this month. All right. From the Four Agreements deck, we have Don't Make Assumptions and Learn to Ask Questions. Okay, it says it is always better to ask questions than to make assumptions. Have the courage to ask questions until you are as clear as you can be. Once you hear the answer to a question, you won't have to make assumptions because you will know the truth. Definitely an interesting message there. Again, this could go back to the Mercury energy that we talked about, because especially even if it did take place in your house communication, right, there definitely is the potential for miscommunications there more than most. And even if it wasn't a current miscommunication, right, you could be looking back on a past situation and realizing that there was a miscommunication there. So, right, so like I said, maybe when you initially agreed to this job, you had that emotional connection to it, but then you came to the realization that, okay, maybe at a certain point, maybe you were getting raises, right? But maybe you hit that cap to where they don't go beyond that as far as pay raises. And you're like, okay, well, now what, right? Because obviously the cost of living everywhere is still going up and up and up. And if you're just going to be stuck at the same pay level for the rest of the time you're doing the job, then you might have to look at other things, right? So could be something like that too. All right. Excuse me. From the Wisdom Oracle, we have Yang. There's the artwork. And number is 1. Let's see what this has to say. All right, essential meanings says the masculine principle of movement and the masculine principle of movement and creative activity, the power to make things happen, taking action. The oracle's message: Yang represents the power of action, the energies that propel the world forward, and manifesting thought and desire into concrete form. Now is the perfect time to act, for you can easily build momentum and make headway. What you want will come to fruition if you proceed confidently. This card signifies new life and is a sure sign that obstacles have been overcome. There is no reason to hesitate. You are the shaper of your destiny now. So yeah, definitely a positive message there, right? Especially because, like I said, the Mercury retrograde is still going on at the time of recording this, but when we're physically in May, it will be over, and then there will be a post shadow retrograde period, so maybe for the first week and a half or so. But as the month goes on, for sure, you'll feel the energy clear out quite a bit. The relationship message says circumstances are supporting action on your part. It's okay to make the first move. Trust that you will quickly know where you stand. In matters of the heart, there is movement toward your highest good, so go forth with assurance. Passion is in the air, and now is the time to dance to the tune of love. Take the lead. So definitely an interesting message there, because another way I can see this playing out, I didn't really think of this through the romantic lens initially, but for some of you, maybe this is regarding feelings that you've been holding back for someone, right? And maybe the way it could connect there is maybe it's even someone that you met through the workplace in some way. But if not that, like I said, either way, it looks like maybe these are just feelings that you held back for someone, maybe someone that you might have some kind of a history with in some way, right? Now it could just be one of those things where all those feelings are coming back up to the surface, and now you actually want to communicate those feelings. And if that's the case, could just be pointing to this desire to collaborate in the environment too. So it looks like the feelings would be reciprocated for most of you. All right, the prosperity message says projects, partnerships, and all matters relating to your business are out of the obstacle phase and onto the make it happen phase. Now is the time to stake your claim and get things done. While you can expect to be busier than usual, this card tells you that you have all the energy and vitality you need to accomplish your goals. Abundance is waiting for you to claim it. So, definitely a positive message there, and hopefully that resonated for you guys. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.